Hello everyone, this is part 57 of What If Naruto Learned the Secret of Shadow Clone, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Tayuya blinks, taking in the quiet Uzumaki compound while Ino and Temari touch down next to her. No visible damage, no errant chakra floating through the air, which meant no combat yet. Good. Their intruders hadn't made it here yet. Walking forward and entering their home first, Tayuya leads the way while Ino and Temari follow behind her. Almost immediately they're met by a calm but curious Hinata who looked over their shoulders. Naruto. Tayuya pointed a thumb over her shoulder back towards the main island, off to save the city. Hinata nods, turning and walking further into their home as Ino closes the front door behind them. I have the rest of the family down in the basement in the bunker. Nothing short of one of Naruto's V2s will get to them. Hinata's footsteps were quiet on the clean wood floors, and Tayuya had a feeling that anyone from Kumo who somehow got this far wouldn't be making it past Hinata's deceptively delicate hands. Kotohime is down there as well while Karen is watching the entrance. As she said this and they walked well past the sitting room and dining area, she paused at a nondescript portion of wall. With a touch of her hand the wall melted away and Karen was there, eyeing him up before nodding and stepping forward. Behind her the stairs dived down well below the home where all but Temari knew there was probably the safest place on the planet right now. Tayuya however was already building plans in her mind. All right. You've got the house covered. Hinata, you should join them downstairs. Hinata huffed as Tayuya tried to turn away, gently taking her co-wife's hand in her own and pausing the other woman's movement, and so should you. Naruto would be rather cross if you tried to run off and go fight. I would be rather cross as well. Karen rolls her eyes, walking past Tayuya while snagging Ino and Temari in her grip. Hinata is right. You both get down there with the rest of the family. We'll take care of the intruders. Karen twitches, eyes turning to track something unseen that no one else but her could sense. Speaking of, there's three. They aren't close yet, hell not even to the forest yet, but we should move. Tayuya turned worried eyes to Karen first before turning back to Hinata. I should go. I'm the combat type, not Karen. I'm stable, I can hold my transformation again and... Hinata shook her head slowly, calmly, smiling at the taller woman who let her transformation go with a sigh. You don't have to fight this time. Hinata brought Tayuya closer to her and thus the stairs down to the basement. You have more than combat to concern yourself with. Ino rolls her eyes, flexing and showing off dense muscles. Save your strength and let us deal with the small fry. Temari nods, adjusting her fan at her back. We'll make sure nothing happens to Karen. Karen was grinning as they were already opening the rear doors to leave. We've got this, Tar-chan. You keep the house, we'll take out the trash. Karen watches Hinata pull Tayuya back slightly, and her grin softens into a real smile. You're carrying the next generation of Uzumaki. We can't risk you. Besides, if someone does somehow get past us, we'll need some of our strongest here to defend our home. And I pity anyone who thinks to get through you three. Giving it up, Tayuya let Hinata pull her away, so much as a scratch, and I'm never letting you live it down, little sister. Karen nods, I believe it. Turning and looking out over the rear garden, she clenches a fist. Let's get to it. I'd rather them not get any closer to the house. They might taint the grounds. The three girls race off, leaving Tayuya and Hinata behind. Hinata held Tayuya's hand in her own, not sure if it was the taller girl trembling in her grip or her own. They'll be fine. They're strong. Tayuya knew that, but she wanted to be out there all the same. One scratch, and I'm going to Kumo and leveling that shit place a second time. Hinata giggled and led Tayuya back towards the basement entrance. I believe it. Behind them and racing through the forest behind their home, Karen took the lead position as the sensor type while Ino checked over her Senbon launchers and Temari fingered her fan. It's 2 Jonin and 1 High Chunin. No offense but I think I'll take the Chunin. Karen knew she was very much a support type. But for her home, well, she was still an Uzumaki, she always had the home field advantage. Confident smirk on her face, Ino flipped through the trees next to Karen. This is going to be fun, we get to cut loose. and take out some frustrations. They all had a bone to pick with Kumo for one reason or another. Temari couldn't help but agree, I could use the exercise. Karen has all of a breath to dodge and stop the group before Naruto is there, 2 more women in his grasp. Wah! The Naruto clone saluted them, I come bearing reinforcements. Have fun. And then it was gone, leaving behind an irate-looking Yugito and a confused Sumui who was looking around at all of the greenery. Oh, that no good asshole. If he wasn't such a good lay I would. Sumui sighed and shook Yugito by the shoulder, no you wouldn't. You like him too much. Well, I'm still pissed off. The 2 tails made of fire at her backside clued everyone in on that fact easily enough. Chuckling and telling herself to give Naruto shit for this later, Karen retook the lead, no offense, but we kinda have a bug problem. Wanna come help? Sumui nodded and did her best to ignore the Jinchuriki who decided to spit literal blue fire, that is why Naruto brought us. Lead the way. Karen jumped away, talking as the others joined up with her in the trees. I know Yugito doesn't need anything, but you've been disarmed. Need a weapon. Sumui considered herself before nodding, anything with a blade would work. I traditionally work with a tanto. Karen thinks about it, before nodding and snapping her fingers. In the air before her in a puff of smoke her ocean blue scabbard appears, no more than 2 feet in length. She easily tosses it to the astonished Sumui. I get bored, so I make things. Consider that a gift for assisting in Azushio's defense. Ino felt snarky, or maybe a gift for boning our husband. Squashing down the momentary blush that crossed her face, Sumui sighed and threaded the new weapon into her belt at her lower back. I apologize for overstepping. Ino shrugged, oh, don't worry, I'm not mad. Yet, but I'm guessing that's how you got dragged into this. No, after seeing how callously the Raikage treated Yugito's death, how ready he was to throw any of us away. I decided I couldn't continue to fight for Kumo anymore. I know. I ignored a lot of horrible in my time. But I thought it was for the good of my people, my home. Sumui sighed, looking away from the judgment she would see in the other girl's eyes. I'll do what I must, to atone for what my people did to yours. But I couldn't continue to fight just to appease the ego of one old man. Yugito chimes in, blue fire trailing from glowing eyes as her tails flicked in the air in agitation. You worked with the information you had. No one will blame you, Sumui. Personally, I blame you lot for showing me that there could be something better. If not for you, for Naruto, I'd probably still be a good little brainwashed Kumo ninja. Ready to blow myself up for my village's glory. She pauses for a moment before pointing a finger at Ino, and yes, the perks are pretty, life-changing. Aren't they, Sumui? Sumui couldn't prevent her blush this time, no comment. She certainly didn't want to be torn apart by the Cage's wives. No, she liked being in one piece, thank you very much. Ino sighed, deciding to talk to both of them later to clear things up. Well, it's good to have ya here now. Maybe we can talk terms. Karen rolled her eyes and pointed at the mirthful Ino, we'll talk about that later. Pause at the hill here, we're close. They could hear waves now, they were close to the coastline now. Dropping down to the ground as the brush cover thinned out, Karen stops them before rising over the hill. The intruders are huddled together. Take it slow. They all edge over the hill, looking down onto a rocky beach. 3 men were huddled together, one of which seemed to be laying out a plan to the others. Yugito, Sumui, know any of them? Sumui edges forward, seeing the group of 3 men roughly 100 meters away from them now. Archoi, my brother. Omoi, my old teammate, and Motoi. I'd like to handle my brother. Try to talk him down. Karen nods, fair enough. Yugito has a grin on her face, knuckles cracking in one hand as her nails lengthen. I have a bone to pick with Motoi. I'll handle him. Shining eyes raked over everyone else. I'd suggest everyone stay away from my fight. Ino and Temari look between her and then each other before shrugging and deciding fighting 2-on-1 would be alright. Guess the straggler is ours. Plus, it allowed Karen to stay behind and watch the rear. Karen nods, alright, we have surprise, hit them hard and fast. Yugito was already molding chakra for a shunshin, blue fire leaking from the edges of her eyes increasing. I'll split them up, after that we tear them apart. Motoi stood between Omoi and Archoi, arms crossed as he considered their options. B had told them he felt chakra this way, specifically Uzumaki chakra. They didn't have a lot of time to explore, which meant they needed to either split up or coordinate an efficient search. It wasn't a large island, but they only had one shot at this before they met back up with B and the wreckage. Steadying himself, he eyed both of his current teammates. Omoi looked thoughtful, hands on his hips as he kept his senses alert. Odd that the Uzumaki would be all the way out here away from the main island. Maybe a secret base, an enclave away from the normal citizenry. Archoi shrugged, wanting to find that cur the Azukage himself. What evils was he unleashing on his sister? Who knows how cowards think? They probably ran and hid in order to let their people burn again and escape Reikage Sama wrath. Motoi motioned for silence, gaining the other two's attention. We're going to stick together, scout quick and quiet. Hit and run, don't get into any protracted fights unless you have no choice. We were given a time limit and after that we're leaving. If you aren't back, you'll be left. Omoi nodded, sounds good, best get a move on then. Archoi nodded, let's get fired up. The blonde-haired Archoi was all grins as he fingered the sword at his hip. This was for vengeance for his sister, maybe they would negotiate her return after this. You'll get fired up all right. Something made of blue fire landed in the middle of the group, a shockwave tossing them all through the air. Omoi had all of a moment to spy what looked like a furious Yugito within that fire, before it was gone, chasing after the retreating Motoi up the rocky slope toward a cliff. Archoi was already drawing his sword as he skipped to a standstill, turning to assist their team leader. Was that Yugito? Eyes up Archoi. Samui was suddenly there, driving a forward kick into her brother's side to toss him along the rocks. Tanto singing through the air, they were racing back and forth along the hill in the opposite direction from Motoi and Yugito. Omoi grunted, divide and conquer, classic. Feeling two chakra sources behind him, he drew his sword and turned to face the two blondes. What was Asuna woman doing here? A trick then? No. Defending the Uzumaki gathered here. Temari was already swinging her fan around, her summon coming forth in a puff of smoke, Kamaitake. Completing her swing, she frowned as Omoi was able to complete a block, her summon flipping through the air to return to her and land on her fully opened fan. You've got talent. Her weasel hefted its own sickle, ready to try again. Or you overestimate yourself. Why are you here sooner? Omoi looked between the two women with concern. He vaguely remembered her from the summit, a guard for the Kazekage. Did that mean that Kage was here as well? The Suna woman was a long-range type with that massive fan, but what about the Uzumaki blonde? Seals. Explosions. He had nothing to go off of with her besides the muscle definition along her arms and legs. Maybe a close-range type. Ino dashed towards him, chakra cycling through her as with a wave of a hand over her face a brown Oni mask wavered into view, less talking, more dying. Jumping up and over a horizontal slash from Omoi, Ino launched a brace of senbon his way as she flipped over him. He blocked them all, but that was fine, she had more, and now his attention was split. Temari took advantage of that, launching her summon again with more wind behind it this time. Kamaitake. Omoi didn't even attempt to block this time, a short-range shunshin carrying him to safety, and then, well within her reach. One down. Omoi's sword coming around in a tight arc, it was blocked by the now closed war fan with a clang. He pressed the attack, lashing out again and again as Temari retreated by several steps. He only then had a minor warning as Temari smirked at him, before a dainty fist smashed into his ribs. He rolled with it, but he could feel that at least two were cracked if not outright broken. Back crashing into the ground he rolled, spitting blood and regaining his feet. Sure enough there was the Azu woman again, mask making her face unreadable and flexing muscles in her arms, short range for one, long range for the other. Just what I need. What was that mask for? Did it assist her in some way? He didn't have time to figure out all these variables. So what? You bend over for the Azukage and he promises to give you whatever you want or something. Temari smirked as she watched Omoi dodge between Ino's senbon as she circled around him. This idiot sure didn't know anything, did he? If it was just that, Kumo would probably have been gone a long time ago. Doing her best to figure out how to lead him into a trap, Ino decided simple might be for the best. In the middle of reloading one of her launches as she felt the rocky terrain slip under her feet. She let it happen, body falling off balance as she kept the grin off her face as Omoi rocketed towards her. Perfect. Weak. Crescent moon beheading. Augmenting his strike with chakra and his sword trailing light, he was caught even more off guard when between two breaths the Uzumaki woman was before him, and then gone in a muted flash of light. Sword passing through empty space, he felt the impact of something striking the back of his neck. His world spun, body numb as he watched a grinning weasel pass him by with a bloody sickle. Understanding that he had been completely outclassed, he let calm wash over what was left of him. He wouldn't even be able to warn the others this way. His world went dark. Ino bounced in place, watching as Temari cuddled her summon in her hands. Now that was a fast attack. What's the upper limit on it? Temari sighed, letting her summon return home. That was it. Thanks for the setup. Didn't feel like dragging him along, and it isn't like we need any of the Kumo ninja for anything. They both heard an explosion from the direction Yugito had gone, looking up to see her welling up a massive amount of chakra and the area looking like a sea of blue flames. Think she'll need help. With a stomp from Ino and a healthy amount of chakra, the ground swallowed up the beheaded body and head of Omoi, dragging it into the earth with ease. Temari was already turning back to where they had left Karen, Yugito. Doubtful, maybe Samui. Locking her hands behind her head and dispelling her mask, Ino shook her head. She asked to deal with her brother alone. Best to let her have that. Let's check in with Karen and go from there. Okay. Temari finished folding up her fan and replacing it at the small of her back. Maybe I can have Naruto add some seals to my fan. Could increase the durability a bit. Wanna get better with close range. Ino could understand. At least I wanna be able to give someone a nasty surprise or two if they get close like that again. Temari had decided a long time ago that she hadn't wanted to be helpless at close range. Even now, a few stashed away kunai gave her some extra options. Another explosion rocked the area that prompted both girls into a jog, best to make sure their friends were okay. Panting and weaving away from a blast of blue and white fire, Motoi considered his options. Fighting against Yugito normally would have been a hard-pressed fight. Fighting against her while she was in this enraged state and likely brainwashed was a completely different realm of impossible. Short sword in hand but almost entirely useless, he made another dodge to his left, watching a wall of fire trail past him and nearly cook him even at this distance. The ground was molten in its wake, but Yugito was already chasing him further, fire clinging to her body though refusing to burn her. Yugito, I know you're in there. Fight whatever this is. Whatever that Izukage has done to you. You're stronger than it. Grinning and pressing her attack, Yugito considered that from Motoi's perspective she probably did seem to be erratic. She would normally be much more in control, less violent, less wasteful of her chakra. However, Kumo had stolen her life from her and now was here to rip away the happiness she had found. No, they had totally pissed her off. And she wanted to make sure some of them burned for it. Dashing towards him and jumping into a twirl, two tails of chakra smashing into his arms that he raised to defend himself. She could smell the burning flesh from here. A sickly sweet scent. You've gotten soft, Motoi. All that time fighting against those who couldn't fight back finally catching up with you. We're here to save you, Yugito. Cursing as his arms screamed in pain, Motoi tried to break through whatever was blocking the control seals on the Jinchuriki. She would be angry at being knocked out in such a way, but would also thank him when this was over. I'm trying to bring you back home. A small lie. She would be a nice bonus on top of the current mission. Maybe she knew where the Uzumaki were. Chakra building along her right arm into a cat's paw, Yugito was within striking distance in a blink, swatting Motoi further up the cliff and through a boulder. Molding chakra in her chest, first one, then a second line of fire was born from her mouth, liquefying more of the island rock and reducing Motoi's avenues for escape. Seeing him begin to stand, she strode his way once more. Home I am home. Motoi had all of a second to defend himself, a lightning wall hastily formed but blocking another blast of blue fire. On either side of him the world detonated, leaving him with the only cone of undamaged earth behind him. Yugito, you've been corrupted, I'm here for you. Yugito jumped high, a short string of hand seals before her tails lashed out repeatedly, several fireballs splashing into the ground all around her target. Motoi was quick to run away, but he was edging closer to the cliff's edge. Maybe it was time to play along. Give him some hope. Landing and walking through the flames, Yugito put on a distressed face. You, what? Mentally Motoi grinned, Finally, some good news. Home. Remember, Kumogakur. With your team, your real team. And B, he's here too, he'll be happy to see ya. Looking back, he didn't have anywhere else to retreat to. The fall wouldn't kill him, but those rocks under the waves would surely do him in if he was injured beforehand. Yugito, it's me. Common, you know me. Keep calm, no sudden moves. Like trying to calm down a mountain lion. Pausing within arm's reach of him, Yugito put a hand to her head, her flames dimming a bit while she did her best to ignore the Matatabi cackling in her head. Mo Motoi. Yeah, it's me. Common, calm down, tell me what happened. We can fix this. If only they didn't have such a time constraint. They needed to get a move on. Yugito's hand flashed forward, snatching Motoi by the neck and hoisting him in the air. Oh, you want to know what happened? Yugito offered him a murderous grin, her fire coming back to full strength. She noted that the man began to sweat profusely from the heat. What happened was the Raikage sent me on a mission to die. Expected me to sacrifice myself for a village that committed genocide. More fire began to encircle them, but Yugito barely paid attention, slit eyes locked onto one of her tormentors. What happened was I spent a lifetime training in all manner of horrible or demeaning ways. You were part of that. Remember, how was it, training, a drugged-up Jinchuriki? Did you like it? Enjoy it? I was following orders. I was only following orders, just like you. Following orders. Like that absolves you of your sins. Nails dug into his soft neck, drawing blood. I woke up, found a new life here, and I have pledged to right my wrongs of the past. For once I have found real happiness. A reason to live beyond fighting and killing. But you, I don't have anything left for you. Her free hand knocked the short sword from his left hand, aborting his desperate attempt to free himself. More sweat was beginning to fall now, and more. His breath was starting to sound ragged, dry. Any last words, Motoi? Hey, so, you really did it. Ran away to whore yourself out to the Azukage so he would free you. Just like the alley cat you really are. Just some animal. Yugito shrugged, tossing the man onto the rocks before backing away slowly. I've decided this is going to be the last time I fight. I'm not made for this anymore. No, probably never was. Burn in hell, Motoi. I hope peace is a long way from you. Chakra bursting free and taking the form of the Matatabi, a dense ball of fire built within her chest. She watched as Motoi was rising in some attempt to either flee or fight, but he wasn't given the chance. Fire engulfed him, his screams lost to the roar of her fire. The sustained attack was a full minute, and when complete Yugito powered back down into her normal self, a tired sigh leaving her mouth as she took in the glowing and molten rock before her. Guess that's that. Part of her had wanted to drag it out more. To make one of her abuses suffer for the lifetime of pain they put her through. But it wouldn't change anything, and only weight her heart down more. Ino and Tayuya had convinced her. This was a new life, which meant a new start. You're free, kitten. Truly free. Have been for a while now, haven't I? With a thought she dispelled the various smaller fires around herself. Matatabi's fire really was something special. You know what I mean. It's time to let go of those ghosts. Kumo isn't an entity for you to worry about anymore. You know your love will handle them. Love. No, I don't. Don't be dense, kitten. You can only play pretend for so long. Another sigh leaving her, Yugito gave it up. Damned Uzumaki. She blamed Tayuya. With a satisfied Biju deciding it was time for a nap, Yugito was of the same mind. Turning away from the glowing red surface of the rock before her and jogging back towards where she could feel the others. Maybe Lord Naruto could employ Samui as a secretary as well. Yugito was sure her friend was done with fighting now. They both deserved a new life, a new start. Samui's face was carefully neutral, slipping through Archoi's strikes with millimeters to spare as she pressed her attacks, her new Tanto diverting strikes or lashing out with precision. She could see the frustration on her brother's face, but she needed him to understand. Stop fighting me. I want to talk to you. Talk. I thought you were dead. And when I see you again it's at the point of a blade. Archoi's sword trailed fire, a vertical strike that Samui slid away from but caught several trees in its wake. They burst into flames easily, but Samui was already there, shorter blade snipping away several locks of hair. I thought you were gone, or best case brainwashed or tortured. But here you are, in one piece and working with the Uzumaki. Why? Cringing a bit internally at the pain she could hear in Archoi's voice, Simui understood. He had thought her lost, but now here she was and now his enemy. Such a situation would break most people. If you would stop, we could talk. I could explain. There is so much we've ignored, allowed to go on. We don't have to do this. You're right, we don't. Archoi dashed backwards, out of range of her attacks as he began to chain seals together and well up chakra, because I'm still a loyal Kumo shinobi. I don't know what they did to you, but you need to snap out of it. You know what our mandate is for someone like you, Simui. Brainwashed or not, he was to kill her. That was his duty. Simui knew it as well, seeing the resolve entering his eyes. Don't. You've never beaten me before. And you won't today. Fire encircling his sword, Archoi went back on his attack, range increased due to his technique. You're being fooled by the Uzumaki and Azushio. They can't be trusted. That's why we're here, because they stole from us. Those are people you're referring to as property. Simui leaned back, watching his blade trail over her chest and loosing fire. Coming up, she dove into his range, Tanto drawing blood along his ribs, living breathing people. Archoi. How long are you going to claim ignorance to the atrocities of Kumo? They exchanged blows back and forth, Simui beginning to sweat as the heat seemed to increase as their fight went on. Think about it. If Azushio was so duplicitous, how could the rest of the world not see through them? Are you saying Konoha, Suna, Kiri, Spring, and the host of other smaller nations are all being taken in by them? Yes. A horizontal strike split a dozen trees in a cone of destruction before him, but Archoi was already turning to address Simui, who had jumped over him. He received a foot to the face for his trouble, but she didn't press her advantage. Kumo knows the truth. Has seen it. The Uzumaki are bottom feeders who will bring ruin to everything, and we can't let that happen. You used to be like me, like us. Simui sighs, chakra finally beginning to build within her body. This had gone far enough, once, yes. Until I opened my eyes. The Raikage just wants power and prestige, a Kumo at the top of the world. Not cool at all. Archoi can see a thin layer of frost beginning to build on Simui's blade. He couldn't let her get started, traitor. A single word, but it froze both of them in place, Archoi's fire going out as he stared at his sister. Neither moved, though Archoi was emboldened as Simui couldn't hold eye contact with him. Lay down your weapon, Simui. We'll go back to Kumo, you'll stand trail and maybe you can get away with heavy labor for a few years. But, this is done. Don't make me kill you. Something in her heart broke. Was there really no convincing her brother that something better was out here? That Kumo wasn't as great as they had once believed. Archoi. No. Stop. Just. Put down your weapon. Don't do this. Well, Yugito had been correct. Sometimes cutting all ties was for the best. Exhaling a thin stream of mist, the air around them began to rapidly cool. You've never beaten me, Archoi. Not once. Need I remind you? Fire bursting back into life along his weapon, Archoi took a new stance as he angled his sword. I've never gone all out against you either, sister. Flipping the tanto in her hand into a reverse grip and taking a new stance of her own, Simui locked firm eyes on her brother. So you say. But neither have I. With a shout they both came together, fire slashing out to her side from a deflected strike and scorching the ground, while a line of ice was left in their wake as they dashed to and fro across the forest floor. So what? You spread your legs for the Azukage and suddenly you have a new outlook on life. Or maybe you think you're somehow better than us. Better than Kumo. You don't get to run away like that. He misses his next strike, white hot fire digging a trench in the ground before being snuffed out. He's forced to retreat from her tanto now trailing ice crystals. Simui grunts, hating the assumption everyone made about her, even her brother apparently. This body doesn't define who I am. Sure seems like it. My eyes are open. Kumo has committed countless atrocities. Why can't you see that? And why can't you see that it was all for our benefit, for the betterment of everyone in Kumo? Even you. Dodging away from a strike, Archoi watched a tree get flash frozen in an instant. He'd best keep his range. So you can debase yourself all you like. Submit yourself to your new master. Kumo's sins are still on your hands and no amount of atonement will wash them clean. Shame. Regret. A host of emotions Simui couldn't put to words right now, but she would later. When she had a quiet moment with Yugito. Or maybe by herself. There's always a chance to make things right, Archoi. To make things better. So what, should I be like you? His sword came down upon Samui's hasty guard, and he hammered down on her repeatedly. Should I bend over for the Azukage as well? Pledge to do whatever he wishes, whenever. Azushio isn't some sparkling clean nation either, our ocean of blood lays at their feet as well. Rising again to strike once more, Archoi can feel his rage boil over. You can't just wash your hands of it all and enjoy a new life. You committed to this, to our duty as killers. His weapon came down, and met a wall of ice. His strike melted a trench through it, only for his weapon to be trapped within. Yeah, run away. Apparently that's what you're good for. Samui nodded behind the wall, watching Archoi's weapon behind to sizzle and water to trickle away in rivulets down her barrier. I can't change your mind then. You die for Kumo as opposed to coming with me. I'm no traitor, and Kumo will win this conflict. Archoi's eyes hardened as he began to pour more chakra into his weapon. I've made my choice. That was something Samui was going to have to accept, even if she didn't want to. Understood. It took little effort to mold chakra along her right hand, thrusting it forward and changing the barrier in an instant. Archoi grunts as something pierces him. Looking down, it isn't her sword, but her free hand, encased in a spike of ice. Whir. Coughing, blood dripped down his chin as his concentration slipped, his fire going out and his hand falling away from his weapon. He noted Samui's wall of ice melting away, water soaking the ground around them. I can't change you, I see that now. Nor can I make you see how wrong you are. You're a Kumo shinobi and I won't take that from you. Samui watched as ice began to creep from his chest, growing over his body as she pulled her hand free. Reaching down and taking his weapon into her hand, she continued, you can call me whatever you like. Judge me however you wish. I've decided to make a change for myself. Not for Kumo. Not for the glory. Not for you. I'm putting myself first. Looking down on Archoi as he fell to his knees, Samui stood over him before dispelling the chakra-laden ice on her weapon and stowing it away. I'm sorry. I wish it could have been different. So do I, sister. I'm sorry. You're not a whore. I know that. Samui nodded, turning away to hide her tears from him. I think you would have liked it here in Azushio. The men of the Chinook clan, I think you'd get along with them, all hot-blooded and eager, just like you. She could hear the ice creeping over his body, and his breath now coming in shorter gasps. Plus, there are many single women here. Some are pretty cute. Archoi chuckled, no longer able to feel anything beyond the all-encompassing cold. Hey, would have liked to see M. Samui's grip on his weapon was tight, enough for her nails to dig into her palm and draw blood. I think, if Naruto would have met you, he really might have been able to change your mind. Show you that the Uzumaki aren't the monsters the Raikage made them out to be. Maybe so. Is he that great? Archoi watched his sister's shoulders shake and sighed. He did that. What a terrible brother. He's kind, foolish, strong, dedicated to his people and to what is right. He would spit in the eyes of the kami if he deemed them in the wrong. In a word, cool. Yes, cool. Archoi wanted to chuckle, but no longer had the strength. I think it would have been fun to meet him. Even once. It was so hard to breathe now. Samui had noticed as well, and decided she needed to go. Rest well, little brother. Live well, big sister. Walking away, Samui didn't need to turn back to see Archoi take his last breath. Nor did she need to see the technique finish its task, ice shattering into shards to leave her brother's broken body on the ground. He would return to the earth here, and she would come back one day to properly place a grave marker. For now she needed to return to the others. Samui cleaned her tears and slipped his sword into her belt just behind her tanto. Yes, she needed to find Yugito and the others. She wanted to make sure her friends were okay. Evening began to descend on Azushio and all in all, Naruto decided today was a job well done. No portion of Azushio proper received any damage, all of their citizens were accounted for. No loss of life on their side of things and hell, not even a building damaged. So as he lowered himself into the massive baths of his home and let Temari snuggle into his side, Naruto accepted a bottle of something from Sasuke who relaxed next to him. Here's to a job well done. More like here's to curb stomping the Raikage. Naruto and Sasuke shared their toast, before relaxing back to watch the rest of their families. Sasuke was doing his best to ignore Sakura and Amaru chatting away animatedly with a conspiratorial-looking Kotohime and Hinata. Those two were a bad influence. Naruto nodded along, arms snuggled warmly around Temari as she relaxed fully. You're not getting any sleep for a long time. Says you're even worse. I have personal dimensions to retreat to. Naruto grinned wide as he could feel the irritation wave off of Sasuke. Sasuke gave him the stink eye. Share. Build your own. Dunce. Prick. Temari pinched the blonde, happy at the yelp he let out. Enough of that. I'm tired, and you're keeping me up. Grunting and looking back as Ino and Karen seemed to be sharing notes with Taiuya and Honoka, Sasuke asked the burning question of the evening. So, what now? Now, I wonder. Naruto wanted to take a break. Relax for a while, not have to worry about fighting other Kage or super-powered ninja. Maybe finally get around to that road trip with Jiraiya. See the world a bit. Now nothing. I need to talk to Gyuki and Kokuo. But there's no rush anymore. Some time off does sound nice. Required really. We've been going crazy for the last few weeks. Sasuke was almost looking forward to a plain old normal mission. Hell, maybe he'd go and visit Konoha and take a mission to hunt down Tora. Just so he could see if that damned cat could survive an Amaterasu. Temari hummed, well, I agree to a well-earned rest and break. No missions. No leaving the city. Ino was already holding up a hand. I second that. No craziness for a year, I say. Temari was grinning as she looked up at Naruto through her bangs. No running off, mister. I want a date. And you'll get it, honest. Naruto squeezed Temari once, before Ino was pointing at him again. Oh. What did he do now? He did not like the look on her face. And you? Are Yugito and Samui part of this family now or not? All eyes turned to him, and Naruto could feel all restful thoughts leaving him instantly. He gave up. All signs pointed that this really wasn't his choice to make, again. Do whatever you want. I'm sturdy. Ino cheered and turned to Taiuya. So, about that plan, that all four of the girls devolved into whispers, a tired-looking Karen leaning into the more muscled Ino. Naruto gave Sasuke the finger as the other boy started chuckling at him. Not a word. Bet your pocket dimension won't save you now. Every princess, daimyo, female bandit leader, or lost soul we find, I'm tossing your way. Believe it. I'm man enough to admit I just don't have your charm. It's okay. Sasuke shivered as Sakura and Amaru both looked his way quietly before turning back to Kotohime and Hinata. Control your women, Naruto. I hope they tie you to a bed for a week straight. At this rate, they'll convince your sister to join. And that has me worried. Naruto was something, for sure. That brought Naruto up short, thinking it over before taking a long sip of his sake. Touch her, and I'll kick your ass. Oh ho, brotherly protection is a real thing, isn't it? Never mind, I'll have Ino flay your mind. Oh, now there is a real threat. Both boys shared another drink, before relaxing back into the warm stone. After a short while of just enjoying the idle chatter, Naruto took in Karen and Honoka floating his way. Hey girls. Honoka was all smiles as Karen came and joined Temari. A heads up, Furfur should be fully repaired in a few days. Such a lame name. It's a laser-spitting dragon. It needs something menacing and cool. Several women's voices all rose up at once, drowning him out. It's cute and you won't change it. Chuckling and vowing to beg Isaribi to change it for him, Naruto turns to the other half of the basement duo. He didn't like the look in her eyes. What's up, Karen? Well, even though you want to take a break from all the craziness. What about Kaguya? That draws some attention, everyone more than a little curious about Naruto's plan for the goddess. Or former at least. Kaguya ha. Naruto shrugged and laid out his plan for the goddess. Well, like I said. Gotta deal with the 5 and 8 tails. Plus, I'll have to make a trip to Am in order to talk to Pain and see about the 4 tails. Plus, gotta get to May and convince her to let me borrow Utataka about the 6 tails. Not that he had to guess what sort of convincing that woman would request. Sounds like a few months' worth of work then. Karen rolled a hand in the air while Naruto gave her a confused look. A couple weeks tops. Naruto's attention was pulled in as Honoka loomed over him. Ah. She said it sounds like a few months' worth of work. Long red hair draped over Naruto as Honoka's eyes began to glow. Which means lots of time to relax. Focus on the not-so-little things. She edged closer. Yes, darling. So much focus. She let out a squeak as Ino picked her up and put her over her head. I'm a delicate flower. Ino chuckled. According to Karen, not so delicate. Honoka's thrashing ended up unbalancing them both, ending up with them disappearing under the water in a splash. Karen did reach over to poke at Naruto's chest. So, you taking the hint? Sighing and nodding, Naruto gave in. A few months it is. I'll slow it down. He rolls his eyes as the girls cheer. He turned back to Sasuke. So, what was that about Sakura having a Sharingan? Does your dong hand out Sharingan now? Ignoring your idiocy, it wasn't like I needed all of the Sharingan harvested by Danzo. Nor did I need both from Itachi. Plus Sakura is an Uchiha. And, how does she have non-red Sharingan? Never underestimate the will of a world-class medic with a vanity streak. Naruto blinked at that, before his eyes turned back to Amaru, who was laughing at something Kotohime had said. Ah. Uzumaki blood and a Sharingan, I doubt Amaru wants the same treatment. Sakura was just over our quote-unquote hack powers. They are hacks and I'm going to break them. Sakura yelled over to them while shaking a fist at Naruto and Sasuke both. Huffing, Sasuke turned bored eyes to Naruto. We broke her. Naruto shrugged. I take no responsibility for your wife and her mental state. My wives are all normal. They both turned as Ino was carried into the air by chakra chains formed by a cackling Honoka. Normal for Uzumaki. That isn't a point in your favor. Temari snuggled deeper into Naruto's side, a content smile on her face. I wonder if our kids will have your cute whisker marks. Shrugging, Naruto relaxed and waved a hand in the air. The future is full of possibilities. And hopefully with some work it would remain a bright one. Ino was giggling as she struggled free. Naruto, would you put a baby in this one already and calm her down? Honoka was already bounding his way. I second that idea. She ignored Ino dropping back down into the water as she dispelled her chains. Yup. Life was normal again for the Uzumaki clan. The sun smiled down on Azushio. They had made it another day, and for Naruto that meant he was a very happy cage. Not that one would know it, watching him grumble from behind his desk while the city moved on outside his window. Off to the side, Sakura and Sasuke relaxed and stayed out of the way of three Naruto clones going about their own stacks of paperwork and report filing, while outside of the large windows they could just make out an airship floating on by peacefully. All in all, it was looking to be a good day. I really need to get out of here. Naruto mumbled as he read over a materials request form from Tazuna. It had only been a few days since Taiuya had signed that approval for the arena, or maybe Coliseum was a better word, and Tazuna had full work crews and the site already cordoned off. Really, Naruto shouldn't be surprised, but he was. I'll have to remember to send some clones along from time to time. Tazuna would appreciate it. Sasuke chuckles from where he was balancing a kunai on his fingertip, relaxed on one couch with his head in Sakura's lap. You could always bugger off to deal with Kokuo or Gyuki. It was still up in the air on who Naruto should deal with first. Kokuo would probably be the easier one emotionally. There would be a lot of bad blood between Naruto and Killer Bee. I say you should relax, like the others said. Sakura barely looked up from the book she was currently reading. A gift textbook from Tsunade. We're short on enemies for the moment, which means we can focus on more normal situations. Like running a city. Normal is subjective, and Uzumaki don't do normal. Naruto easily signed the packet before sliding it into his outbox. Like he was going to say no to a motivated Tazuna. Now next, the Zozansho needed more supplies. Interesting. A chime from his desk breaks his train of thought. What's up, Yugito? You have visitors. There was a bit of a pause, like she was confused on how to describe who was here. And that had Naruto interested. Okay, send them in. Signing the paperwork he had been reading, he barely had enough time to put it into his outbox before his door slams open. Looking up, he gets blindsided by a full-figured woman bearing auburn hair. Tackle sending him to the floor, Naruto mumbles from somewhere in a tangle of limbs. Oh, good morning, Mei. Sasuke looks back to see not Mei's usual escorts. A nervous-looking Sugetsu and a tired-looking Utakata walking in behind their leader. I'm guessing Mei rushed here after that call. Utakata nodded. Yes, she was very insistent. He did his best to ignore the noises coming from behind the cage's desk. Mei sprung up to her feet, smiling and face flushed. Oh Naruto darling, I just had to come and make sure you were alright. I hope you don't mind. Huffing as the older woman made her way back around his desk, Naruto stood and righted his chair with a grin. It would take a lot more than Kumo to put me down. I told you not to worry. Sighing as his chair was back upright, Naruto sat and easily accepted Mei sitting down on the side of his desk instead of a chair. His eyes landed on her shadows. Oh, Utakata, Sugetsu. Welcome, been a while. Utakata bowed deeply. It is good to see you again, Lord Uzumaki. Sugetsu nodded, a hand coming up to rub his head. Yeah, how's it going? Sugetsu was still wary of the other man. This was the dude the Mizukage was in love with and someone who was completely capable of ending him. He really hoped Naruto never learned about him hitting on Mei. Mei however was drawing circles on his desk as she eyed him up and down. I was still concerned, and thought bringing two of my strongest along just in case would be a good idea. Ao and Chojuro were left behind. Ao to keep the ninja forces in line and Chojuro to help run the administration for a few days. They would be fine. Hopefully. If they knew what was good for them. Patting the woman's hand softly, Naruto gave her an easy grin. I appreciate it. But, ya can see I'm all good. Nothing here but paperwork and boredom. You must have intercepted 'em early. There's no sign of damage to the city when we arrived. Mei had been surprised, having thought that at the least there would be some level of reconstruction going on. Yeah, A and B were detected as they entered our waters. Had to take 'em on at the beach. Naruto weighed on how much to tell her, before reminding himself that she was a cage, even if she didn't act like it very often around him. More than a right, she needed to know what was going on. Since you're here, guess I'll tell ya now. I had to destroy Kumo. That froze up Mei, missing both Sugetsu and Utakata twitch. You. What? She hadn't heard anything about a village being destroyed. Kumo of all places. She knew Naruto was capable of it, but the thought that he would do it after he had gone through the effort of sparing Iwa. They must have finally pushed him over the edge. Mistaking her silence for judgment, Naruto sighed. Yeah. I sent one of mine on a mission to subdue them. I had hoped to do something similar as I had with Iwa, but something went wrong apparently. There's a crater where Kumo used to be. Not much choice in the matter. Well, that wasn't completely true. Naruto could have decided not to send Shokiro, and go against the pact he had made with the elder Uzumaki. Yeah. Mei shook her head and offered Naruto a soft smile. Knowing you gave them every opportunity in order to save themselves. They had a long list of crimes they had yet to answer to, and I for one will not miss them. Looking out over the city that had one of the strongest men in the world to protect it, Mei also gave thanks that she had set her own village on course to make amends for their own mistakes. Considering both the Reikage and his Jinchuriki came here themselves to Izushio, they were obviously set on their course. If you had faltered, they would have continued to seek to destroy you. Not something you could have allowed. You aren't wrong. Naruto still didn't like it, but had made peace with it. Which also meant he wasn't going to waste time by dwelling on the what-ifs. So, you're here, nothing to do. Going to stick around or head back to Kiri. Taking the chance to give Naruto a sultry look, suddenly there was a bit more cleavage on display. A day out on the town would be lovely. Care to show me around a zoo? Rocketing to his feet, Naruto was already making another clone to take over for him. That's all the excuse I needed. Out of this office we go. Clone high-fiving him, Naruto turned to point at Sasuke and Sakura. Would ya show Sugetsu and Utakata to the visitor condo before setting em loose on the city? Oh. And Utakata, I need to have a chat with you later. Allowing the pair who had been lounging around to lead him away, Utakata nodded to the Izukage. Yes, of course. Curious. Sakura was already rolling her eyes as she could already see the hearts in Mei's eyes. Oh, for the love of. Sasuke pulled her along, leading the way. You really want to get between her and Naruto? Mei, the woman who can melt faces. Seeing Sakura blink silently before sighing and shaking her head, Sasuke led the way out of the office. Didn't think so. Mei was already in her happy place, latching onto Naruto's left arm. So where would you like to go first for our cute date? She was now bound and determined to make this a wonderful and relaxing day. Naruto had a smile on his face as they walked by a curious Yugito. Well, I do have somewhere to check out. Common, I'll show ya something new. With a thought, one moment they are walking through the reception office, the next they were touching down just outside of the tower. The sudden rush of noise and fresh air was disorienting, but May cuddled into Naruto's side just a bit more, now no longer in view of her subordinates. How are things in Kiri? Oh, the usual. No major conflicts, missions along the eastern continent are steady and our village's clans are coming around to the new way we are doing things. May sighed as she thought about the information Naruto had given her. I'm somewhat concerned about the ramifications of one of the major villages being destroyed. Certainly the Lightning Daimyo will be raising a fuss about this. Naruto couldn't have cared less about what the Lightning Daimyo had to say. He certainly hadn't cared when Azushio was originally destroyed. He can get bent. With no military left, what is he going to do? Whine. Letting his irritation pass after a moment, Naruto pulled May into his side with an arm around her waist, though I guess I should keep an eye out. Never know who was outside of the village when it was destroyed. I'd hate for the Daimyo to try and send assassins after me. Not that they'd get far. Naruto no longer had patience for anyone who thought they could just march into Azushio and cause trouble. They'd be getting a hole stomped in their ass. Or tossed into the stratosphere. Could always toss M into a pocket dimension. It'd turn into a prison arena eventually. That's so bad. Huh? No, not really. That was an idea he could consider. Their worst enemies tossed in a parallel world all of their own for the rest of their lives. Sounded interesting. May hummed as Naruto seemed to ponder over the problem of the Lightning Daimyo. Well, you're strong and intelligent, I'm sure you can handle anything else that comes your way. She pressed herself into his side more firmly. I do mean anything. Rolling his eyes, Naruto navigated them both through the crowds, offering a few waves to faces he recognized as they walked along. Moving through the entertainment district, they were bound for the coast and the construction site of Tazuna's future arena. I think I can take care of you just as you'd like. You've been patient. Hearts in her eyes, May nodded quickly. You sure know how to make a woman wait, Naruto. Sometimes the best things in life are worth a little wait. The others have been rather vocal about your abilities. Resolving to curb the others' gossiping later, Naruto grinned. You'll just have to find out for yourself. I can't wait. May finally looked up, taking in the flashy and vibrant district that they were walking through. It was busy here, sidewalks full of people while the street rumbled with trolley cars moving back and forth. It's lively. Entertainment district, can find a little bit of anything and everything here. But, where we're going is outside of the city. We gave the okay for an arena to be built. Oh, an arena. Like Konoha. She had heard that Konoha's area was an impressive bit of construction. Oh, we're going to put Konoha's arena to shame when we're done here. That's a promise. May nods, taking in the peaceful atmosphere with the same wonder that she always did when in Azushio. The civilians here seemed so happy, and didn't even balk at the occasional Samui guard patrol or the large golem escorts that carried around children. Military city it may be, but the people never seemed to even acknowledge it. I could live somewhere like this eventually. Like I tell Sunid every time I see her, give up the chair, I'll have a space for you right away. Oh, am I not coming to your home? Going to whisk me away to somewhere more private, more secluded? Ha, you're not catching me there. Sunid may be getting her own beach house, but none of the girls would put up with you being anywhere else but at the estate. You're stuck, whether you know it or not. Sounds lovely. Just you wait. Naruto chuckled as they settled in and relaxed for their walk. It was nice to spend some time outside with no real burdens on his mind. His clones were taking care of the desk, most of the girls were back home with the rest of the clan while a few went about the city with their own self-imposed duties. Hinata working between all the clans while most likely being escorted by Jugo and his girls. Karen was probably with the barrier team while Honoka recovered. She had been very determined. Had been. She should be awake by now. Naruto pat himself on the back for a job well done, before his attention was attracted to someone else he was thinking about. Was that Tayuya and Tsunami walking along ahead of them? Sure looked like it. Yo, Ta-chan. Whipping around and nearly smacking Tsunami with her longer hair, Tayuya was all smiles as she locked eyes with her husband. Naruto. Pausing in their own walk, Tayuya and Tsunami let Naruto and May catch up to them. Tayuya immediately latched onto Naruto's other arm. I see May's back. For good maybe. Tayuya liked the older woman, she was feisty. Shaking his head with a chuckle, Naruto focused on Tsunami as they all continued their walk. What's got you both all the way out here? Holding up a carry box, Tsunami sighed. Father and Inari got to work right away once approval was announced. I'm coming to make sure that they actually eat something. Plus it got her out of the house. Sure, her duties kept her busy, but not that busy now that she trained more assistants. Naruto was already grinning. They're just passionate is all. Tayuya smacked him, more like hyper-focused. A trait someone else seems to share. Sometimes it was rather endearing. Most others it was a bit of a nightmare. Hugging Mei and Tayuya tighter for a moment, Naruto focused ahead as the group continued on together. It would be good to see Tazuna and Inari again. And after that, well, the beach wasn't far away, he'd bet it wouldn't be hard to convince Mei into a swimsuit. Panting, body aching, and more than a little sweat dripping onto the ground, Kiba and Shino both were bent over as they finally had a chance to rest as they stood under the monument to Team 7 on the Great Naruto Bridge. When Guy said that he wanted to be to wave as fast as possible, he sure meant it. A trip that should have taken 4 days, done in a day and a half. Even Akamaru, larger and should have been well adapted to such a run, was laid out and having trouble catching his breath. Kibo promises to give his partner all of the treats he could find later. Fresh as a daisy, Guy stood tall and laughed. You boys need to up your training. A little run like that wore you out already. Shame. Look at Lee. He's just fine. Lee was already smiling and saluting his sensei, of course Guy sensei. Such a run would only be a warm-up on a good day. Kiba groaned and shared a look with Shino. A warm-up, he says. They certainly are something. Kiba nodded as Akamaru whined. That's one way to describe them. Guy started along, forcing the others to drag themselves after him. Don't be dramatic. Come. We have a mission to complete. This would be a good chance to visit Konoha's newest ally. And when we return to Konoha, we'll get to stoking your youthful fires. Your physical conditioning is lacking. Lee cheered and pumped a first into the air, and I shall assist. It is our duty to make sure all of our friends and comrades reach their full potential, Guy sensei. Kiba raised a finger into the air and waved it about. Yay, Akamaru shambled along next to him, begging to be picked up. Not today, buddy, Kiba might just collapse first. Guy barely even flinched as a woman in her early 20s almost seemed to melt out of the crowd next to him, holding a clipboard. Good afternoon and welcome to Wave. Name, village of origin, and reason for visit. Guy had been warned about Azushio's gate policy. Team Guy from Konoha. Here to deliver a scroll to the Azukage. Pen scribbling about on her clipboard, the bubbly woman smiled and gave Guy a slight nod. Done and done. Welcome to Wave, please keep to the streets and off of the rooftops, and do not cause any trouble during your visit. Someone will be along to escort you shortly. Just as she had come, she was gone, melting back into the crowd silently enough that even Shino shivered. That was interesting. Guy crossed his arms and led the way down the main road. They do this every day, probably dozens of times. I'm sure they have had plenty of time to practice their own techniques. It also put on display just how talented their ninja could be right away. Able to spot other ninja right away and single them out. That showed that Azushio could openly sort you out and approach you with no fear. Not a group you'd want to get on the wrong side of. No. Where is this train station? Lee hummed and consulted a map that Sunid had provided. Towards the end of the main road, sir. Right, onward then. Kiba takes a sniff of the air, before wrinkling his nose at the scents that assaulted him. Sure, the sea air was nice enough, if it didn't come along with a tinge of rotting vegetation and industry from the port. No longer in the fresh air of land of fire forests, he supposed. Smells. My bugs aren't a fan either. Lee took in the sights, marveling at all of the different people that moved around them. This is an industrious place. So busy. Wave is a port city which are almost always bound to be busy thoroughfares. Couple that with this being the only water port that one can use to reach Azushio, and that gives another layer to it all. Guy hummed as he thought about it. Sure, it limited traffic that could arrive to Azushio proper, but it did cut down on infiltration and invasion attempts. Considering what happened to Azushio of the past, it was a fitting change. If Azushio gets any bigger, won't they need to open up their own water port? Kiba's question got a shrug from Guy. Possibly. if they ever heal past the trauma of how their village was destroyed previously. That may never come to pass, and they'll adapt a different method of major goods transportation, I'm sure. Guy could see a large steel and glass structure ahead belching steam and smoke. The train station then. Good. We're almost there. Another group was there to meet them, a smiling Hinata with her braided hair over her shoulders and jacket flowing in the wind. Behind her the tall and imposing Jugo was flanked by the smirking forms of Sasam and Kin. Hinata was quick to bow lightly to the team from Konoha. Welcome everyone, how was your journey? Kiba didn't whine, he didn't. Can you come back? Please. Free us from this maniac. Exchanging a hug with the taller and rough-looking boy, Hinata giggled as she scratched Akamaru between the ears. No can do. Unless you want to fight Naruto and the rest of the girls. Shino leaned in, half hugging Hinata as well. I don't think Kiba wants another major loss on his record. I didn't lose that badly. Ignoring the pouting Kiba, Guy was still all grins as he stepped forward, an eye on Hinata's escorts as he moved slowly and unsealed the scroll provided by Tsunade. You're aware of why we're here then? Attempting to take the scroll from Guy, only to have Jugo step in and perform that task, Hinata rolled her eyes as the Riptide squad leader did his duty. Yes. I'm sure Naruto will have a letter for you to return to Tsunade. Please, this way. Accepting the checked-over scroll from Jugo, who concluded it was safe, she set about turning away and leading them all to the sectioned-off private train for Azushio VIPs. Team Guy took in the contingent of samurai guards formed up and keeping normal traffic far away from that section of the station. Kiba took it in and whistled loud. Guess being Naruto's girl has its perks, huh? Giggling and waving off an irritated-looking Jugo, Hinata nodded, something like that. He's just overprotective is all. More like everyone in Azushio was. Having come clean about her pregnancy, she shouldn't have been surprised. Stepping up onto the train with a hand from Sasam, Hinata led them all onto the plush train car. So, how has Konoha been? Anything new or exciting? Kiba and Shino sat across from her while Guy and Lee took seats across the aisle from them. Jugo went onto the front while Sasam and Kin sat in the seat behind her. Shino was the one to update her while Kiba was fussing over Akamaru at the window. Well, things have been calm lately after the excitement of your younger sister leaving Konoha. That's a nice way to put her running away. Yes, it is. Giving Kiba a cross look, Shino continued, on the whole the Hyuga seem to even be, dare I say, more down to earth lately. Humming as she thought about it, Hinata would have to see for herself, life has probably kicked them into gear. Left without the branch family, the main branch will have had to start doing all of the mundane tasks all on their own. It would be hard to lord over everyone else as holier than thou, when you were back to doing your own laundry and cleaning. Tayuya and Ino would probably get a kick out of the news. Kiba crosses his arms and huffs, finally letting Akamaru stick his head out of the window to pant in the wind. There's still a bunch of stuffed shirts. Guy had his arms crossed as he relaxed and enjoyed the ride underground, speaking up on some of the rumors he had heard lately. It appears your younger sister is coming into her own springtime. She's quite smitten with Konohamaru lately. Why? He's had the most positive effect on her, I believe. Eyebrows raising, Hinata would have to grill her sister on that. She hadn't brought the boy up in their conversations at all lately. Please look after her, I'm sure father can't be happy about that. Maybe she really would need to go and visit Konoha soon. Make sure her father wasn't up to his usual nonsense. She and Naruto could have fun with it. Shaking his head as Shino promised to do just as she asked, Kiba was grinning. It's become a bit of a betting pool to see what's going to happen first. Is Hiashi going to catch Konohamaru one of these days, or is Asuma going to finally lose it? My money's on Asuma. Feeling the train begin to slow, Hinata smiles as she begins to stand. I have a feeling Konohamaru can take care of himself just fine. He took after Naruto, perhaps a bit too much. She'd have to ask Naruto if he had trained the boy at all. Anything else I miss? How are your own love lives? Before Kiba could launch into a bravado tirade, Shino slapped her hand over his mouth. Kiba is still very much single, though not for lack of trying. Pushing the hand away, Kiba grumbled, not cool man. I'm saving time. Shino wasn't concerned himself. When he was ready, he would pursue such a goal. Letting Kin take the lead, the black-haired girl's head held high as she moved past the Konoha team. Hinata followed along behind her as the visiting team kept pace with her. Well, I would say come and visit Azushio more often, might help your chances. Stepping down into the busy Azushio station, Hinata led the way outside while Lee and the others looked around with some wonder. In the distance they could make out 3 airships floating through the air. One bound for the fortress, while another was docked with the tower and another seemed to be on its way out of the area. By Hinata's estimation, probably to Suna. Guy whistled, guess that explains how goods are making it to Azushio beyond just this rail line. Airships, a product of spring and a hot topic these days. Stepping to a waiting trolley car, Hinata nodded as everyone joined her, Jugo again taking the lead to speak with the conductor. It does make shipping here easier. Plus, they're certainly a tourist attraction. Several Land of Fire nobility had been pestering them for sky tours and such. With peace returning to Azushio, they might just get their wish. She idly waved to a group of women from the Hotaru clan who all bowed too deeply to her. Lee had a look of confusion on his face as he saw the group. Weren't those? Hinata nodded, the Hotaru, a new clan who have settled here in Azushio. Guy laughed and gave Lee a few hard pats on the back, the Hotaru you say. If they are an Azushio clan they must be formidable. You would be correct. Still smiling, Hinata felt Sasam tap her on the shoulder. Yes Sasam. Have you eaten yet today Lady Uzumaki? Rolling her eyes, Hinata just knew that was Karen's influence on everyone. Yes Sasam, I've eaten, and it isn't even noon yet. Though she did have a craving for spicy ramen. Maybe she could make a stop at Ayami's later. Just making sure, Lady Karen was very adamant that you eat and drink regularly. Kin leaned in as well, swaying with the motion of the car under them. Plus, we have to keep you away from Ayami's. Her food is healthy enough. Kin smirked, not according to Karen. I'll make sure to let Ayami and Naruto know that. Watching the women banter back and forth, Kiba raised an eyebrow. Are they your guards or babysitters? He missed Akamaru looking Hinata's way before huffing and laying down on the floor. It wasn't his business if his partner couldn't smell the difference. Shino as well didn't feel like passing along the message, his bugs reporting the change in his friend easily. Staying healthy and well-nourished is no laughing matter. Moo. Not you too Shino. I'm fine. Fiend. Hinata puffed out her cheeks before turning back to the front, even if I think everyone's being overprotective. Jugo kept his silence on the matter as Kin continued on, secretly you like it. She most certainly did not. Huffing, Hinata turned back to her friends. Naruto should be in his office, so we're headed to the city center. They were already passing through the suburban areas, coming into the more industrial city area and all the noise and sounds that accompanied that. Guy took it all in with a critical eye. Azushio certainly is a lively and youthful place. It has grown much in a short time. I admit, if we weren't an island nation we might not have had such a good time of it. Isolation has done wonders for us. Plus, our citizens are motivated. Their car joining the traffic flow and beginning to circle the main tower, Hinata lightly hopped out and waited for the others to join her. Let's get inside. Jugo and the others led the way this time, pausing for a moment with Hinata to pay their respects at the monument before continuing on. Jugo gives Team Guy an appreciative eye as they read the inscription before giving silent prayers as well. At the least they were polite Konoha ninja. Inside they went, though Hinata weaved through the traffic and turned back to face them. Just a warning, Naruto might have an important visitor. After Mei had joined them yesterday, Hinata was sure it would take an act of force to remove the woman before she was ready. Not that the girls wanted to see their fellow wife leave just yet. Everyone stuffing into an elevator, Guy hummed at the information, a visitor, anyone we know. Lady Mei, the Mizukage. All 3 of the younger team members stood a bit straighter, Shino voicing their concerns, the Mizukage is here. Are we interrupting something important? Hinata shook her head, no, it's an informal visit. Nothing serious. Just didn't want to surprise you. The elevator door opened and the group piled out. Hinata raised an eyebrow at the calm Sumui sitting at the secretary desk. Good morning Sumui. What happened to Yugito? Sighing and eyeing up the Uzumaki woman, Sumui waved a hand back and forth. Naruto decided she needed a mandatory day off. She's apparently hanging out with Isaribi. And I asked for something to do. I can only laze around Yugito's apartment for so long. Well that was interesting. Hinata waved as Jugo held the door open. Don't push yourself too hard okay? And don't mention that around Karen or Tayuya, They'll find something for you to do for sure. Of course not, Lady Uzumaki. Congrats, by the way. Smiling brightly and flowing into Naruto's office, Hinata has no warning as she's whisked into the arms of another well-endowed woman. Mei twirled her around in the middle of the space with a joyous laugh before setting her down again and hugging her tightly. Oh, hello Mei, you're in a good mood. Of course. Why didn't you tell me you were pregnant? Now I have to stay. I'll give the hat to Ao, Kiri will be fine. Mei had so many plans and ideas. She couldn't wait. Naruto coughed as he could see Kiba visibly vibrating in place. Mei, beautiful, you can't just toss the hat off like that. What will your people think? Azushio is an ally anyway, it'll be fine. Fine. Mei was already swinging the shorter woman to the couch to gush and make plans. The Uzumaki would be a big clan, mark her words. Kiba was already marching towards Naruto's desk, hands slamming down on its heavy wood surface. You dog you. You just couldn't wait. Wasn't me who was impatient. Says you, I bet you couldn't wait to get your hands on Hinata. And here we were worried about you guys. Trying and failing to take the dog boy seriously, Naruto turned to the happy-looking Akamaru who was being attended to by the happy pair of Sasam and Kin, now able to relax in his office. Can you control your mutt, Akamaru? Woof. Hey, I'm right here, asshole. Kiba, I will smack you around in full view of my city and my people. That's a promise, not a threat. I'd like to see you try. We're older now and you've been stuck behind a desk. That's it. You need a reminder. Naruto was over his desk in an instant, falling into a brawl with the Beast Boy. Lee and Shino leaned over to Jugo, who could only watch on with a sigh as Sasuke and Sakura seemed to be taking bets behind Naruto's desk. Lee was more than a little concerned. Is this normal? Jugo nodded, for Azushio. Completely. Sugetsu winced as with a crunch, Naruto was standing proudly on top of a hog-tied Kiba. No one asked where he got the rope from, or why it was purple. I really am glad I didn't pick a fight with him. He's crazy. Utakata had to agree, this is a leader of a major village. Naruto could overhear them, and gave them both a thumbs up. You bet your ass I am. Guy had a fist clenched as Naruto hopped down from Kiba's back and made it back to his desk. So cool. All grins and appreciating some easy chaos, Naruto dropped back into his chair with a grin. So, what brings Team Guy here to Azushio? Hinata raised a hand from the couch. They made their last payment to us. Guess the old lady wants a letter from me then. Okay, hold on a minute. Set on his task, Naruto started to pen a letter to the Hokage. Sure, he could deliver it himself, but that would ruin the fun. Shino looked down on his teammate, flatly ignoring Akamaru offering his belly, which was soon vigorously rubbed. Are we going to leave him like this? Naruto didn't even look up. You wanna join him? Never mind. Shino knew better than that. Even if he didn't, his bugs sure wouldn't be helping him in that fight. Good man. MMMHP. MMPH. Kiba thrashed and raged, but was summarily ignored. Mei was holding Hinata's hands into her own, a bright smile still firmly in place. Have you thought about names yet? Do you know how many? Any word on if any of the others might be coming along? If they weren't, Mei sure wouldn't mind putting herself in the running. Not yet. Well, I have one, if we have a girl, but no boy names yet. Not sure. I'm pretty sure I'm only having the one. And besides myself there's just Tayuya, Kotohime, and Kayuki. So that's 4 of us now. Naruto sure is a dedicated husband. Here Mei turned to give Naruto a lidded gaze. When's my turn? Ask and you shall receive. Finishing up his letter and sealing it properly, Naruto tossed it to the waiting Guy. There ya go. You're free to hang out in the city for the day. I'm sure Jugo can show ya to the visitor apartments. Guy was already shaking his head. Nonsense. We must return post-haste. Why, this may even be the perfect time for training. Lee was before him in an instant. Yes, Guy-sensei. It is your duty to carry Kiba back to Konoha. If you should fail, you will carry me on your back for 4 days straight around Konoha's walls as punishment. Do you accept this task? Of course, Guy-sensei. And if I should fail, I will further increase my training by increasing the weight to include yourself and our teammates. Truly you are an inspiration, young Lee. I'm so proud. Guy-sensei. Lee. Guy-sensei. Lee. Both men came together in a manly hug. Such was the energy that the sunset upon crashing waves that sprung into being behind them was powerful indeed. All activity stopped in Naruto's office. Short of Naruto himself chortling while Sakura punched him in the shoulder repeatedly. Make them stop. Please. Sugetsu was vibrating in place. What is this? Utakata continued to try and fail to release the obvious genjutsu they were under. This is an ultimate genjutsu. It's unbreakable. Stepping away and watching Lee pick up Kiba, Guy saluted Naruto, who returned the gesture. Then, by your leave Azukage, we shall depart. Akamaru whined loudly even though he disengaged from the two women who had been paying attention to him, now rubbing their eyes furiously. No worries Guy, I'll come pay Tsunade a visit soon. Mei blinked slowly before turning to Hinata for some type of confirmation. Is that normal? Hinata nodded with a bright smile. For them, yes. Konoha Ninja are an odd bunch. Mei watched the smaller one in all green pick up the rough-looking boy and toss him in a fireman's carry before the team left back through the door. Very odd. Naruto was still laughing. I think it's great. They were Azushio. This sort of thing made the days go by quickly. Now I'm in the mood for a party. Where was Naruto? He needed a fight. The day did in fact pass quickly, and with evening coming on Naruto had a spare moment to take care of some business. Back home and wandering around the forest, with a thought a massive scroll wrapped in a pure white chain burst into life in his arms. It was also another thought that he flashed away, yet another pocket dimension separate from Zetsu's. This one was special, featuring a wide and open field, an expanse that looked to have no end. It did of course. All things did. But today it was just a precaution. Tossing the scroll and removing his chain, he watched the bleeding body of Han drop to the ground. There was a moan, some struggle, but Naruto was already there, shoving a heel into the older man's gut. Yo, Kokuo, you in there? There was a sense of vertigo, and Naruto was there, standing before a restored Han while behind him and caged in stone was Kokio, the Five Tails. Behind Naruto, Kurama grinned down at the elder Iwa shinobi with eyes full of malice. Ooh. Can I eat him? Naruto ignored the panic that reached Han's eyes. Hey, go for it. Naruto didn't even bat an eye as a paw scooped up Han. His focus was on the trapped Biju. Welp, first things first. Kokuo sighed, knowing this was coming but still wishing it wasn't. So, I'm to be made into another weapon. Nope. With some effort, Naruto broke down the seal holding Kokuo in place, watching the stone pillars all crumble and fall to the ground in a crash. Walking forward to stand before one of Kurama's siblings, Naruto offered it a wide smile. You're free if ya want. I just need a favor. Standing and stretching, Kokuo marveled at the boy before him. He released him, just like that. He hadn't even extracted a promise from Kokuo first. Sure, perhaps Kurama may protect the boy, but that was no guarantee either. A favor. He ignored the crunch from behind them, as well as the splash of liquid hitting the ground. Naruto only barely twitched. Yeah. I just need a small amount of chakra. I'm putting the old lady back together. Kokuo tilted his head this way and that. Now that Han was gone, he could get a real feel for Naruto's soul. Interesting. So that's your game. Yeah, sorta. It's. Say no more, young one. I will assist. Kokuo leaned down, giant form nudging Naruto in the chest with his snout in order to exchange chakra. It will be interesting to see where this goes. Well, that was easy. Gyuki may not be as such. Plus, I do not wish to fight anymore. Naruto nodded, arms linked behind his head. Well, then on to the next issue. Where do you want to go? I can drop you just about anywhere in the world at this rate. That is a question. Kokuo made a show of thinking about it as Naruto and Kurama watched him, the other Biju laying down next to Naruto. You have multiple islands in your nation, yes? Yeah. Good. I would like to claim one for myself. Say, those Yuki. They wouldn't mind if I napped near their home, would they? I might make a cave for myself. Kurama huffed. You're all so lazy. Only because you, Shukaku and Matatabi are so active. Naruto shrugged. Yeah, I'm sure we can make that happen. Then that is where I would like to go. Standing and watching the world fade around them, Naruto blinks and they're back in his pocket dimension. Han's body bursts with chakra, before Kokuo is standing high and mighty before him, though a bit shorter than Kurama. I'll come back in just a bit for you. Think you can deal with being here for a short while? Kokuo nodded as he took in the long and flat plains. It would be nice to stretch my legs for a short while. Though, Naruto. Some caution. Oh. What's up? Naruto turned back to Kokuo, Kurama huffing in his mind that they should start a fight with Gyuki. Your plan, be careful. Father did warn us of this course. Offering another grin as Naruto gave the Biju a thumbs up, he made the Biju a promise. Don't you sweat. I've got this covered, promise ya. Accepting the young man's confidence for what it was, Kokuo turned to run around the space, then, I will leave some of my power to you. And then he was gone, enjoying his freedom while he could. Naruto watched him go, before with a thought he was back in the real world. The forest around him was quiet, fireflies buzzing around him softly and giving him little light to work with. But it was enough as he turned to head back home. Tonight had gone well, he would give it a few days to maybe a week, and then he'd do this again. Gyuki needed to be released, and maybe a short conversation with Killer Bee. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.